else to do in stormy weather. Long may you run. Long may you run. Long may you run. Although these changes have come, with your chrome heart shining in the sun. Long may you run. Well, it was back in Blind River in 1962 when I last saw you alive, but we missed that ship.
Some stories. Part of this whole thing, you want us to laugh, you want us to have fun, and you want us to tell some stories, positive stories that would make people happy. And one thing that I'll always remember as a kid was I was probably like 5 or 6, and you know, Santa comes every year, and I'm like, we are gonna catch Santa. I want to catch Santa so bad. And Dave was like an 8-year-old trapped in an adult body. You know, so we're just like, all right, we're gonna do it. Let's set this up. We're downstairs. We're in this basement, and the Christmas tree's all set up, and we're camped out. And I'm like juiced up. I probably even had a Pepsi at this point. we're like, okay, we're all camped in. And it's not like 15 minutes into this whole thing, and I look down and he's snoring. I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, this is weak. Like, we're gonna catch him. So I'm just like staring at the fireplace. And this is like this old fireplace. I'm just staring and staring. And I feel like I made it like 3 hours, which was probably a half hour. And I fell asleep too. And then all of a sudden, you know, in like no time, he starts kicking me. He's going, and like kicking me. I'm like, what's going on? What? And I look over and the presents are all under the tree. And I'm like, Dad, he came, we fell asleep. And he's like, no. And he was the greatest prankster and salesman. And did we do this? Did we do this? Did we try to catch Santa?
Yeah.
And we didn't either. Santa's super sneaky. And I think it's those things that he passed down, that, you know, he was a kid and we were passing the same stuff down to all of our now. And so, you know, even though he's not here, I think, you know, he lives in everyone in the stories that we'll tell.
This meant a lot to have this, even though it's a year and a half too late. I'm glad it could be a happy occasion for people, because it might not have been like that, you know, otherwise. So I guess that's a silver lining. One of the ones I had to share with the Frey uncles, I told Uncle Jim, I had to share the slippery rock. It's a Canada story. A few years in, you know, well, it's always a tradition, the Freys go up to Canada. A few years I was up there, and halfway through the day when you're fishing, you stop at a shore, we would always stop on a big flat piece of rock where we all dock our boats and have lunch and hang out for a little bit. And I was screwing around along the edge of the rock, I guess. I must have stepped right under the surface of the water on the rock where it's slippery and slimy, and my foot just it just dragged me all the way down into the water, completely in the water. And the Frey uncles were they just lost it. And no one helped me out for a little while. And finally I got out. And
We asked Dave if you could swim.
We did ask him to swim.
So, you know, I got out eventually. Everybody was still giggling. All of a sudden we heard my dad scream from the other side of the rock. We looked over and he's half submerged in the water, just like halfway, and it was like, you know, so everybody laughed at him, but I was like thinking, like, geez, you know, what a great time to take the pressure off me, make me feel a little bit better by faking it, because it just looked so staged, you know. And but whatever, we got back in the boat, and I said something like that to him, like, geez, you didn't have to make me feel better by doing that. It's fine. I can take the heat. And he's like, are you crazy? I wouldn't do that. I'm not gonna go in the water just for that.
I wouldn't do that. I heard
We
that
just had a good
loud.
laugh about that. It's, just one of the
I
many
wouldn't
Canada
do that.
stories that are really special. Like spending being such a great dad, even though he didn't have his dad for most of his life growing up, and to appreciate, how he could do that. Because I think a lot of people wouldn't do that, and he just loved being a dad, and because he loved it so much, he just put his heart and soul into that, and that's his legacy on earth, I think. So.
Mentioned that the slippery rock incident led to years and years of hanging up signs where just Justin Slippery Rock, 1 kilometer. I think Jimmy probably put that up there, and just on your way to that lake, you know, that sign, Justin Slippery Rock. And for years I thought, well, Canada really adopted that as a national monument, you know. It was always fun to see that. Because, I always look at your Justin Slippery Rock sign that's named after him. So, yeah, obviously watching that video, it's difficult. You can get up here and you plan what you're going to say, and then it hits you. He was natural at being a dad and a grandpa. You can tell he was his best version of himself when he had 3 kids in his lap. He had a book to read. That's who he was, and that's why we are the dad we are today. It's because of him. So yeah, he loved people. It's a testament to him and his life. All the people here today, and he genuinely got to know our friends too. I thought just people that are here that I know and you guys know, just he loved interacting with us and our friends too, and being a part of our lives. And yeah, he was so much more than a dad. He was a friend. He loved that. Loved all of you in this room. So when as we were getting older, obviously Canada it's a theme, but it really raised me. I got an education at an early age about what Canada's all about. And the first year I went, I got to go home got back to middle school and had a lot of stories to tell about what went on in a different country with all my uncles. And what truckers talked about on the CB radio, and what beer tasted like. And so, I think of my dad every time I got a fishing pole in my hand. And I talk to my dad every day. It's just, it's great. So, one particular thing that was really special to me is, you guys are older and starting family. That feeling of just my dad is in me every day, and in us, and it's I inherited a lot from him, especially his cheapness. And, I've been told by one of my friends in this room that I'm so tight I squeak. And I take pride in one, I take pride in it. Something I really own, and I will wear that like a badge of honor. Because that's my dad telling me, it's not the price isn't right. When he passed, I was just so glad he got to see, being the youngest, a couple of things in my life. I was unmarried for a long time and didn't have kids, and Davis was born 3 months before he passed away, and for him to see that and have some pictures, and that was just cherry on top. It was really great for him to just, we had a lot of conversations about that at the end, and he was just so proud. And he didn't realize how proud I was to be his son. So it was great. And I'm just so glad that we got to honor him here today. Thanks.
So I have 2 stories actually. One is, Dave made me laugh every day, and that's what I miss the most. Actually, just he made me laugh every day. So one day, because we live close to the schools and the church, and I was behind on laundry. I've got a family of 5. I'm behind. It's Sunday. I'm trying to catch up. I got a little laundry room. I can't sort my clothes in the little laundry room. So I sorted all over the kitchen. And I had probably about 8 piles. I'm sure 8 piles of laundry, at least. Anyway, the phone rings, and at that time it was a landline, we didn't have cell phones. The phone rings, and he picks it up, he talks to somebody, and then he hangs it up. And I was busy with my laundry, and I came out and I said, "Who called?" And he said, "Oh, it was just Father Sight. He just wanted to know if it was okay if he'd stop in on his walk."
Oh, no.
And I looked at him and I said, "What did you say?" I mean, you have no idea what the house is trashed. And he's laughing. And he said it straight faced, but he's laughing. So, anyway, I'll never forget that. And then one other time, somebody had owed me $100, and they paid me in cash. And so I didn't have no pockets, and so I didn't know where to put it. So I shoved it down in my bra, you know what I mean? So I'm in Target, and I had to use the bathroom, and so I use the bathroom, and I go home, and you know, I couldn't find it. I didn't know what happened to this $100. And several weeks went by. I was really afraid. Really afraid to say this day that I'd lost $100. You know, to have $100, that's big money. But it wasn't there, and I didn't know where it was, and I just figured I must have lost it in the bathroom at Target. And so one day I finally got the nerve to tell him, and he looked at me and says, "Well, who do you think you are, Mae West?" He didn't get mad or anything. He said, "Who do you think you are, Mae West?" So, anyways, that was nice. Very nice. Anyway, so, and then I think the other thing I wanted to tell you was just thank you for being here today. This was his wish. You have fulfilled his wish. COVID got in the way, but we got it today. Thank you for making him laugh. Thank you for being his friend. Thank you for making a difference in his life. He loved you all. I just hope you know. I mean, I know he loved you all very much.
Little story. So when Dave was quite young, probably like me, he was 6, 7 years old, Mom used to give us a quarter to run across the schoolyard, go down and get a Dairy Queen and a Richter Schweigler's. And we all go down, and some of the neighbor kids went along, and Dave never got anything. He just kept his quarter. Why didn't you get anything? You know, we got back home, and he got on his bike and he's gone for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Put back, and he's in his shirt pocket. He's got 5 assorted candy bars stuffed in his upper shirt pocket there. And he goes around in the neighborhood and his brothers, and people want to listen to it. Sell him each one for a quarter. Quite a businessman.
Oh, you're a businessman.
So anyway, a lot of you guys know, they've heard this story around before about human fish life and what took place. And he was overlanding his boat one day, and there was a guy in a kayak that was pulling up to near the boat landing and tipped over. And he had some rather a lot of high-end gear on his kayak. He had 4 fishing poles and a full tackle box. And he lost it all. It went all down to the bottom.
Matt Lawmeyer. I'm the youngest cousin on the Lawmeyer side, so it would go me, my brother, and then Travis. And I just have one quick story I wanted to share. This kind of sums up Uncle Dave for me. He was very special to all of us. They summed it up well, that being the youngest on the Lawmeyer side, I always loved going up to Uncle Dave because he'd just make me laugh and make me smile, and he was the best. And we had a family wedding, and being the youngest, all the other cousins were about the age where they could start to drink. And I was just young enough where I knew it was, better not to. So he he kind of recognized the moment, and he made a bet with me. He said, you know, the record I've seen at a wedding is 12 kitty cocktails. I bet you can't go for it. So that morning, I think I probably drank about 8 kitty cocktails and had the best time. And later that night, I was maybe a little sick, but Uncle Dave made that wedding so much. And I think that was just the skill he had to kind of recognize, you know, he could see in me, and he made that night so special. So laughter was Uncle Dave's gift, and that's all I remember most from it. So he was great. I love Uncle Dave.
I'm Dorothy Imwald. I'm one of Diane's best friends, and we go back to 9th grade when we were both stuck in first period physical education at Sauk Prairie High in 9th grade. And Diane had been going to school in Plain at Catholic school, and her father had cancer, and he had to sell the farm, and they moved into Sauk City. So she was new to the Sauk School District, and I was relatively new because I was from Merrimack, but I'd already been through the whole middle school thing. And she and I stood there looking at a map of the school, complaining about way to make us look bad, giving us physical education and swimming first thing in the morning in 9th grade when you're already, you know, totally insecure and thinking about how you look, and obviously you can't put on any mascara, and all of these things. We bonded over that and became very best friends. And later in 11th grade, in the early spring, Dave was with me in the ski club. And Diane was not a skier, didn't attempt it, but I was, and Dave and a bunch of the seniors. Now, grandkids, maybe plug your ears, because Grandpa was a wonderful man, but he did like to do a few, you know, naughty things at times. They were 18, and it was the legal age to drink for 18-year-olds in Wisconsin, but not on a high school ski trip. And Dave filled a flask and had it in his sock, and a number of the other, you know, 12th graders had some drink along, and they had a party at our ski resort. It was either Telemark or Scrabble. We were up north, far away, and everyone was, you know, in the 12th grade was drinking. And I recall somebody came up to me and said, "Do you want a drink?" And I'm thinking, man, I am the biggest partier in my class, but I know to not drink on a high school trip when I'm not 18. So I didn't drink. Well, first thing Monday morning, we all got called in by, you know, the principal, and he's like, "Did you drink?" And he wanted to know, and they were all very brave and admitted they drank, and they were 18, and okay, they're no longer in ski club. But some of us in the 11th grade were also questioned, and I said, "No, I didn't drink." "But were you there?" I said, "Well, I didn't go into the party, but yes, I was there." "Well, you're out of the ski club." So he was very definite about it. And then, lo and behold, Diane says to me, "I really like Dave Frey, and you know him through ski club." And I said, "Well, yes, I do know Dave through ski club." So I went to Dave. "You know, Diane Loudmeyer is very interested in you, and you know, you might just want to think about that." And he looked kind of amazed. She was the prettiest girl in the class. And he just smiled. And the rest is history.
An idea of make money to have a paper route when he was growing up. And Mom was real supportive of that. Until the time came that he didn't feel like getting up in the morning delivering papers. So Mom would holler up the stairs, "Mike, get up!" "Why?" "Dave's sick. Can't do his paper route." Okay. So I go, deliver his papers, come back, he's sitting there eating breakfast, you know, nothing wrong with him. And I said, "I thought you were sick." And he goes, "I just wanted to see if you I could get somebody to do my route because I was tired. That happened multiple times, so. But he was always down at the spot when it came time to go collect the money. And I think he got $1 a day, and then when you did his route, he gave you 50 cents.
I was afraid to mention it was always 0 degrees out.
Oh, there was another time I can remember pretty well. Diane probably remembers this too. Dave was so proud of his car.
Yeah, it's Firebird, yeah.
Lo and behold, he was on a date with Diane. And I was cruising around town on my shoes out. And it was getting close to evening, you know, and I thought, I'm gonna run up to the Eagles Nest, see if they, you know, happening up there. It was probably close to midnight. Sometimes I used to get in trouble with some friends up there after it closed, and we'd go race cars and stuff like that. So anyhow, I'm on my way, and back in the day, it was kind of a tradition. Not a tradition, but kind of like a daredevil thing where if you meet a car on Water Street during the day, obviously, you would always switch lanes.
No.
Somebody you knew, they come over to your lane, you come over to their lane, and you get back, you know. And so I'm on my way up to the Eagles Nest, and it's dark out. It's like I say, 11 o'clock at night or so. And I'm just getting into I'm just coming up into the Bursack. I'm still in the 40-mile-an-hour zone. And here's this car coming out of Prairie, and all of a sudden I see the headlights drifting over into my lane. And I'm going, Jesus, what's going on? Is this guy drunk or what? So at the last minute, I swerve to go in the other lane to avoid this guy. As I'm going by, I see these big old eyes, and it's Dave. Coming the other way, he fell asleep. And Diane was with him. And he almost hit me head on. I could just see the headlights. Brothers collide head on. They kill each other. I was waiting at home for him when he got there that day. And I said, "What are you trying to do? Kill me?" And he goes, "That was you?" He had no idea it was me that he'd run off the road. You know, later in life we got to be entrepreneurs in the wood business. And I recall a time when Dave worked out of Badger. And he got a permit to cut dead trees out of Badger. So me and my brother Gary and Dave and Bill, I believe it was us, we went out there to make some firewood, you know. So it was a good time to get together with your brothers and go out and cut some wood. We get out there and we're driving the back roads of the Badger looking for dead trees again. And we come across this group of trees, and they're beautiful trees, you know, but they're dead. And we got out, and we're looking at them. Somebody run a chainsaw ring around the bottom of them and basically killed them. And Dave goes, "Oh, we better not cut these. These look like somebody wants them." I says, "No." I says, "They're pin oak." He says, "Pin oak?" Yeah, I says, "They're pin oak." I says, "We can cut them. They'll be great firewood, you know." So we cut them up, chopped them up, lowered the trucks up, headed out of town. About a week later, Dave says, he comes up to me, he says, "Mike, you can't believe it." He says, "I had to keep my mouth shut." He says, "Somebody had ringed those trees on purpose. They were cherry, and they were going to cut them into cherry boards to build some furniture out."
And they used them for firewood.
Man, did we escape a bullet there.
graduated with Travis Frey, class of 06, and I remember elementary football, Dave was one of the assistant coaches, and I remember one time we were about to play DeForest, and we were just doing scrimmage, and along the sideline there's this guy in a black hoodie just walking up and down the sideline with a notebook. He just keeps on looking at his notebook and then looks up. And I finally tell Coach Frosh, I was like, I think there's someone scouting us. And Coach Frosh looks at him for a couple minutes, he's like, yeah, I think you're right. So then, like, he huddles us up and he points them out. And he's like, okay, so we're going to do this play called the championship play. And it was the most idiotic thing, like a triple reverse into a hook and ladder pass that a bunch of fifth graders are supposed to understand how to do. And then we just for 30 minutes we were just we were thinking about how we're gonna fool this guy. And when we actually call in the game, it's just gonna be a run up the middle. And so we're about to run the championship play. And Travis is the running back, and the first thing is he pitches to Travis, and then Travis is supposed to run the reverse. Travis gets the ball, and then he takes 2 steps, and he just drops the ball, and he just stares at the guy, and he's like, "Wait, that's my dad, guys." So I'll never forget. Why was Dave just walking up and down because I don't know if he had work he was working on, but I'll never forget that we all thought there was a guy scouting our team for some reason in 5th grade. And Dave just wandering around the sideline. Like Travis said, Dave really invested in his friends and his inner group, and I'm gonna miss him I've always felt lucky to be in the group that I was in. My family growing up wasn't the best, and my friends here and all their dads had no problem taking me in and mentoring me or any fathership role, and Dave was one of them, and I will always appreciate that from him, and I surely will miss him.
I am not from Sauk, but through a college friend, became really good friends with Seth and played a lot of sheepside with Dave over the years. Seth moved out west, so Dave took his spot in our sheepside group. Kind of an upgrade, to be honest. The last time I saw Dave, I had lunch with him at the sheepside covenant. So the last time I saw them, just us, we were sitting down. We went through the hard part of the conversation first, but then the last part was classic Dave. They had just been on a Canada fishing trip. I have a big theme here, but he had to show me one of his last big prints. He was showing me all these Photoshop pictures of him with a giant fish, and the whole goal was, he was telling me the story that he was sitting next to either at a cafe or a bar, a Canadian guy, and he had all these with a giant fish that was ridiculous. Well, the first 2 photos he shows this Canadian guy are one at a dock, one's on a boat, normal places you'd hold the fish. Oh yeah, that's a nice fish, yeah, show pictures to a stranger too, yeah. And then the third picture seemed like on a rocking chair back at the cabin. And the Canadian guy's like, yeah, I'd hold on to that one too. And the last 2 pictures he showed me were so ridiculous. And pun intended, he was just trolling this Canadian guy at the bar. The one is him on the can with his pants down, holding the fish on his lap. And what is this guy saying? He's like, well, I might take it to the bathroom too if I were. I don't know if the Canadian guy's just being that nice, so I thought it was that big. The fish is ridiculous. It's like an ocean fish, and he's just holding it. And this is the last story he ever told me. And then the last picture he showed me he was tucked into bed with the fish. And the Canadian guy's like, you earned it. Oh, you earned it. And it's like, this is the story. Our last conversation, you told me this, and it's every story was like this with him. Ridiculous. How he ever held a job where because he only pranked people is unbelievable. And I think that's probably both Seth's friends and how I know them, pranksters, funny guys. I wrote to Seth last year. Besides our own dad, Dave was our favorite dad.
I'm Emily. I'm married to Seth, if you don't know. And I'm gonna have to keep this real happy. When Seth was figuring out his plan to propose to me, he enlisted in the help of Dave. And the plan was to hike up the west bluff of Devil's Lake and propose. And he had thought about having Dave, like, you know, as many of these stories, Dave on the sidelines scouting or hiding somewhere, and he was just gonna hop out with the camera and be there to catch this magical moment. He's like, oh, Seth, I don't know if I can pull this off. I just don't know what I was made for this. So he's like, you know, we'll play it really cool. She's not gonna have any idea. We've been dating for like 6 months, you know. Well, I'll just come with and I'll hike with. So we're hiking up and we get up to this spot, and I mean, I maybe kind of thought this was gonna happen, but really didn't have any idea. And we get up there and he's like, wow, this is just magical. Look at this place, my gosh. You two lovebirds, get together. And like Dave, he was just a chameleon. He could just be friends with anyone and do anything and take on any situation. And he was all of a sudden like this cover girl swimsuit photography model. And he's like, oh, Emmy, just, you know, hair back. Doing all these things, and I'm like, what's happening? And so then Seth gets down on one knee and he proposes and he does the whole thing, and I just can't believe it. And we kind of forget that Dave's even there until we hear, oh God, I shouldn't be here. Oh God, I shouldn't be here. And Seth and I look at each other and burst out laughing. And now looking back, it's one of the most treasured moments, because how many people get to witness somebody proposing? And it's just magical that he was there, and it was just perfect because he would go hiking in that spot. It was his favorite thing to do. The fall was his absolute favorite season, and every week he would send a picture of this, sometimes a selfie, you know, where half of his face is cut off, and sometimes just of the spot, and he would say, here's your spot, it looks great on this Tuesday morning, and it just will forever be our spot with Dave like that. But on a happier note, I was hosting one of the Badger men's basketball games, and I got some extra tickets for Dave and Seth and Justin, and they were enjoying the game. And as you all know, you know, there's this Frey frugalness. I like frugal better than cheap. So they, throughout the game, had gotten a couple of sodas, and you can get like the $4 Diet Coke in the plastic glass, or you can get the like $7.50 soda in the nice Badger glass, in like the big kahuna glass. Well, Dave gets the $4 plastic throwaway glass. And as I meet up with the guys after the game, we're walking out, and he starts noticing that people have left their big kahuna, $7 and $50 Pepsi Badger paraphernalia glass underneath their chair, and he's just like, can't believe it. And he's like, oh, why would they spend the money? Why would they do this? Oh, we're like, well, you know, I mean, they drank a soda, they just, you know, rah. You know, he gets to the next, he's like, oh, just look at the garbage can, they're piled high, they're piled 8 deep. He's like, just like going 8 nuts. And I'm like, I finally said, Dave, do you want one of those? Like, it's fine, I'll go get the whole damn stack for you. So when you get home, you can have 8 Badger cups. And he's like, no, just keep walking. Well, he gets more and more excited as like we're passing more, or pissed off. I don't know what to do. Finally, I'm just like, you know, Dave, I think these, like, you need to have these. We went home that day with 12 Badger glasses. And I think only one remained. It is so discolored, it looks hideous, and it is my favorite glass at the Frey house.
And he had this habit of showing up unannounced to my parents' house. And one night, I think he's playing cards, or he's at the bar, or something like that, and it's bar time. And he shows up unannounced to Mom and Dad's house. And I'm guessing he was less than coordinated at that point and making a little bit of a commotion in the living room and woke Dad up. And he thought the place was being burglarized. And so he sits up and he just whips off the CPAP and says, "I got a gun! I got a gun! I'm gonna use it! I got a gun!" Travis, from what I hear, is like, "Whoa, Dad, whoa, it's Travis. It's just settle down, it's Travis." And they have a good laugh about it and say, "Okay, fine." And it becomes this rolling joke where Travis will show up unannounced on a random Saturday at 3 p.m. and Dave will be in the bedroom and Travis will be talking and Dad will say, "Oh, I got a gun! I got a gun!" And he'll goof about it. So then one random Monday, he hears the same thing. Like he hears a commotion going on in the living room and someone's making some noise and Dave goes, "I got a gun! I'm gonna use it!" Silence. And then he says, "I'm serious! I got a gun!" And all of a sudden he hears, I'm here to clean the house! Do anything!" He was mortified.
Oh, the cleaning lady.
Long may you run, long may you run, although these changes have come. With your chrome heart shining in the sun.